And good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Happy Thursday. Hope everybody's doing great. Vision, understanding, confidence. We're circling in those areas. But all that stuff only really works if you really understand the goal, which is to bring out the best version of yourself. Let me sort of delve a little bit into that. One of the beautiful things about what we spoke earlier in this week, which is about Chabad and what the Rebbe has been able to accomplish. And yesterday we spoke about America and what that experiment that was able to accomplish really necessitates understanding the idea that almost nothing of real accomplishment happens alone. And what that means is every human being, while having unlimited potential, has very specific ways in which they see the world, very specific ways in which they operate. There's a great test that I think I mentioned here that I use a lot with people called the PDP. And if you want one, you just email me and they cost, but I'm happy to forward you a link or something. But the PDP, and like a lot of these tests, they measure his strengths. And I find it to be fascinating that many times when I'm sitting with people and there's tension between two groups or there's tension within one person, the reason for the tension is the fact that something has to get done and the person that's involved can't get it done alone. There's a project that has to be created and executed. And the person that could see the future and look at every detail and anticipate all the good and bad just can't seem to get the emails done. And the person that can get any email done can't seem to see the future. That there are people that just are able to create to-do lists and cross off to-do lists. And there are other people that can't do that, but can seem to be able to know everything that can go right and wrong before it happens. And there are people that just know how people operate and can walk into a room and sense when people are upset or happy and navigate a conversation on the fly. And there are other people that they're like bulls in china chops for human relationships. They just say the wrong thing all the time. They're completely unaware of someone else's feelings. They don't even mean it. They just don't get it. And there are some people that feel so good with rules and love rules and follow rules. And someone tells you to wear a mask, you never take it off unless someone says you can take it off now. And there are other people that just, the minute someone tells them a rule, they're like, why? When someone says wear a mask, they say, why? And they'll never put it on unless someone forces them. And it's an amazing thing. There are people that look at a rule and go, why? I'm not doing that. And other people look at the rule and goes, well, we have to. And I'm not doing that until someone tells me I don't have to do it. And they can be related to each other. They can be married to each other. Many times they are married to each other. I wonder if in your marriage, or if in your friendship, or if in your family, you don't have to be married, it could be the people that you're related to. I wonder if in that relationship there's one person who is a rule follower to the T, one person's a rule breaker to the T, and they both drive each other crazy. Crazy. That's how it works. There's some people that are doing 10 things at once all the time, their whole lives. And there's some people that can't do anything but one thing at a time. And they don't understand each other. They live in two different planets. And the hardest part about A, seeing the best in someone else, and B, executing on something and achieving your greatest self and living in vision, etc., is A, appreciating that even though it's not you, it could be amazing. You know, this happens in sports all the time, right? All the time you see in sports somebody with a certain amount of skills saying, I need someone without my skills, right? You see a team with an incredibly fast point guard who can shoot from anywhere on the floor, and he's saying, get me a big man in the middle, because he understands that I got to win a championship. And to do that, I need different types of people. But when it gets to life, we stop thinking that way. We stopped respecting people that are not like us. Not like us because of their beliefs. Not like us because of their personalities. We don't understand someone who could just say that in public. We don't understand somebody who is such a rule follower. It is annoying. We don't understand someone who is such a rule breaker. It is inappropriate. And so as a result, we end up surrounding ourselves with people that are just like us, and that we like to hear that. And then we end up not getting a lot done because the people that are around us are like us. We already have us. So everyone's really good at lists, but what they do really has no real impact on the world. Or forget the world. No real impact on the project, right? One of the companies that I'm connected to, this is a big issue because they're trying to rebuild a division, which means they do everything differently. And there are people in the division like, we don't do it that way. And they're like, yeah, I know, because we're trying to do it differently. They're like, no, we don't do it that way. Like, yeah, I know, we're trying to do it differently. Because in the division are people that are incredible rule followers, and they're great at getting stuff done. And you give them a task list, they'll knock it off every night. Check the list, but when it comes to doing something differently, it's impossible. And there are people that are just constantly thinking differently. They can't get a lot done but every time they do something, it's totally new and innovative. And there's a problem because unless everybody is together, working in unison, the to-doers and the visionaries, if they're not working together, they're not talking to each other. They're totally frustrated. And I see it all the time. I see it all the time. You can look for it. If you're ever on a Zoom, you can see it. In a meeting, someone goes, why are we doing that for? And the answer is, because we do it that way. Well, why do we do that for? Because we do it that way. But why? Because that's how it's done. And you can see the tension between one person who is the doer, who is following the lists, who is getting stuff done, who feels that the value that you can bring to a company is the actions that you take. And then the other person who is changing how you see the world, changing how you see the division, who feels that the value you can bring to an organization is by being creative. And they'll kill each other. Not really, because it's corporate America, but they will be frustrated with each other. Until one day, one of them, I hope, will wake up and go, or both of them, but we need each other to succeed. But you can't do that if you can't see the best in each other. You can't do it unless you look over and say, hey, I don't do that, but that's awesome the way you do it. But maybe you can see what I do. But because you don't think that way, that's where greatness comes in. And I want you to really get this. When we talk about how there's a person that sees the greatness in other people, when we talk about last week and this week about how seeing it in others brings it to yourself, I'm not talking about just belief shifts. I'm talking about when your personality sees the world in a certain way and you have to see the greatness in someone else's essence. Do you know how hard it is to see the greatness in somebody who follows every rule if you don't follow a rule? If you are like zipping through the lines, if you're driving in the left lane and zipping to left and middle, left and middle, left and middle, left and middle, and somebody else is in the right lane going the speed limit, do you know how frustrating that is? You can pull your hair out. If you're the person who goes into a highway and goes right to the left lane and is zipping in and out to find the open lanes, and for those of you who do this, you know what I'm talking about, just to get 3 more minutes, to get ways to take the time that you're supposed to get to your rival and to go backwards, and the whole drive is one video game to get that done with safety, and you're with somebody who rolls into a highway, goes into the right lane, hits 55 the whole way through, and when it slows down, they just slow down. And if it slows down in the right lane because there's a merge coming in and the middle lane is open, they don't go into the middle lane. You see these two people? A lot of times they're related to each other. A lot of times they're married to each other. And when one of them has a steering wheel and one of them doesn't, the other one's going out of their minds. Do you know what it's like to turn to the person who's in the right lane and try to find the greatness in that? I got so excited I spilled my coffee. It's okay. To try to find the greatness in that, Do you know how hard that is? Or the right laner who thinks that going 58 is a problem, who sees their spouse zipping in and out, who's like holding on for dear life on the passenger side. You know how hard that is? To see the creativity, ingenuity, relentlessness, whatever. Do you know how hard that is? Now take that scenario and apply it to life. Apply it to a company. Apply it to a family. Apply it to a vacation. Apply it to life. When you have the people over here and the people over there and they don't see the world the same. Now imagine they're not related to each other. They're just working together. Or they're just working across from each other. Stuff's hard. Now, imagine the one person who's able to stop and say, I respect that. You're going 55. I can't do it. I respect it. And the person's able to say, hey, I respect that. You're zipping in and out. I can't do it. Respect it. Imagine looking across the bow to a person that doesn't think like you. And forget the beliefs, the personality, and respecting it. That's what I'm talking about. That's leadership. That's vision. That's when you build teams that are unstoppable. That's when you build families that are unstoppable. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Let's see the greatest in each other. With God's help, can't wait to see you next week. Have a great weekend.
Living on a lifeline, the world doesn't ever seem to change. Looking for the sunshine, but you're caught up in the rain. It's like your eyes are wide open, but you cannot see. You're watching life pass you by like 1, 2, 3. Walking in destruction. The winds of life blur your vision, all the devastation. Forever feels like you're on the run, it's time. No one else can set you free, you're locked inside. And only